So once again, everyone is seeing the library guide, right? I know that it's a small group of people, and you know, for the time that we have, if there is anything that you want to bring up, just unmute yourself and speak. And you know what? I'm also going to turn on chat just in case, you know, some of us feel more comfortable typing in a message. So, you know, two ways to communicate with me to let me know if anything during the presentation they have a question on. Okay, write your message on chat or unmute and speak up. Okay, so we will begin now. This library guide that I have on, the one that says the library for online students spring 2021. Okay, the address for that is, if you go to the address bar up top, right, and you want to type in the address to get to the library guide, it is is.gd/library online, okay, without any space. And you press enter after that. And when you do, you will be right here on the landing page of this library guide. And for our library session today, I'm going to talk about how you can use this library guide to do library research. There's a lot from the library available to you at home, right? You don't have to be physically in the building to get these resources, and I will show you how. Before we go ahead, I want to ask, does anyone have questions about the library at all? I want to be sure that I answer them, you know, maybe during the presentation, right? Anything at all from anyone? You can speak up if you know, if you want me to mention anything about books, databases, anything. And I'm looking at chat just to see if anyone has anything here.
I don't have any question yet.
Okay. Oh, all right. That's fine. So once again, if there's anything coming up, just type in on chat or unmute and speak up. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look at this online library guide. I'm going to scroll down, and you see that there is a contact box below. That's me, Wendy Chu, right? Your librarian. And this is my contact information. You can always leave me a voicemail at my office number, but the best bet is my email address. Okay. If you have an inquiry later about the library, you could get in touch with me that way. There is a button right on the landing page. It says click for campus resources for students. I hope that you guys later on, when you use the library guide, make use of this button. Click and see what the student guide is, because it answers a lot of questions, not just about the library, but for the rest of the campus. For example, very recently, there was news of a study space opening up on the first floor or the basement level of the library building. This study space has computers and all kinds of equipment. So if you are, you know, looking for maybe just, you know, a printer, or just to finish your assignment, to run an online exam, or, you know, anything like that, you don't have that equipment at home, you want to go to this study space. Well, if you click on this button and get to the student guide, and find the option that says study space, it's going to have information about how you can reserve that space. You do have to make a reservation, right, to use the space, but the space now has opened up. The rest of the library is not yet opened, but again, with maybe after the summer, more and more of the campus would be open to students. So that's the first button. And I'm going to go up, and you will see that there are, on this library guide, 3 steps. Step 1 for first-time users, which we will go over. Step 2 is a class page. You're going to see your class page right under a library now. There is one that says go to English 12. That's your class. Professor Ellis, race and identity, the theme for your class. That's your class page. It has a lot of the links to databases, to books, to a lot of the resources that you probably would be using for your assignments. There is also a step 3, student tools. It has a lot more than what we can cover in this session. On your own, you may want to make use of, let's say, the research tips, right? The research tips page. If you are working on an assignment, a research assignment, chances are you have a research process that has different stages of when you first look for a topic, find information on your topic, making sure that all that information fits in the specifications of your assignment, and then citation. So all of this is the entire research process. And a lot of students often have trouble, okay, when they're working on a research assignment. So you may want to, on your own, make use of this page under step 3. After this semester, you can still make use of this online library guide. You see that there is also subject research guides. These are guides for the different subjects that you may have in your later semesters. Some of you may, end up going into nursing, psychology, right? Chemistry, business. And if you want to look into library resources on those subjects, come back to this library guide, go to this page, and you will see all the different subjects and where to find resources of those subjects. So on your own, step 3, student tools, that's for you to explore. For this presentation, we will first go over step 1, first time users. Okay, I have that on, so hold on a minute. I'm going to turn to that page. So here is step 1. Okay, library basics. And you will see that it's a very short module. I hope that at this point, most of the students for the class are here. But if you realize that, you have a classmate who's not attending, let them know to run this module on their own. This is the most important piece that I want students to take away from this session. Okay, it's in this module, and it has to do with this slide. You see it says, know your Cuny login. Okay, because at this point, it's not about your barcode. It's not about your college ID card if you want to access the library virtually. At this point, it's all about your Cuny login. Okay, I hope people know what I'm talking about when I say Cuny login, right? Because that is the login that you use to enroll into your class on Cuny first. right? And your login has your username and your password, and you'll see on the slide so that you can recognize which of the different passwords or usernames you have, okay, is the one for Cuny Login. You'll see usually it's your first name dot last name, and then the last two digits of your Ample ID number. Okay. Now, if I am still speaking in a foreign language, with all the stuff that I'm talking about with the Cuny login, I would like people to come to this slide and click on still not sure. Click here for more info. This is a button. So on your own, once you get to this library guide and you come onto the slide and you are still not sure, click on the button, okay? And it will take you to the IT department's information page about the Cuny login. Okay, it is the universal login at this point for a lot of things that you do online. For example, your college email, right? And you may be using Blackboard, right? All of those systems will take you to this one sign-in page, the same window, which looks like, let me just get to the next slide. Okay, there you go. And that is the window. It will take you to, you see on the left, there is a laptop, right, with this window. It says Web Applications Login, and it's prompting you for that username and password. That's what I'm talking about. You will encounter this when you're trying to get into Blackboard, right? And you will have to input, the first name dot last name, those two digits of your Apple ID, right? And so far, is anyone confused about what I'm saying?
Nope.
No.
Everyone's okay, very good. I mean, usually that is the number one issue, for remote access. It is the IT department that administers this system. So if you have any question about what your username is, what your password is, if you want to reset any of it, or if you have trouble getting in, you have to contact the student help desk of IT. And this slide has the contact information for that. Now you'll see the email address, the phone number, and again, there's a button that says click for IT help desk here. You can even click on the button. It would take you to the ticket system where, you would have technicians, a lot of the IT technicians to help answer your login. So, if you have any question, you can also try me. I have my contact box below, right? So, if you're trying to get into a database that I'll go over later on and you have trouble, logging in, you could send me the email first and I'll see if it has to do with your, your username or something else with the database. If it has to do with the Cuny login, I'll forward your email to the IT department and let them handle this, your inquiry. So a lot of people are right here to help you if you have login issues. So with that said, that is the most important takeaway, because if you are at home and you want to log into these systems, it's going to come back to the Cuny login. Okay. Here is the slide that tells you about the library website. Okay, this library guide that we're looking at, it's not the library website. It is a library guide that I developed for you, the students in Professor Ellis's class. The rest of the campus, all the other students in these other classes, and other users like, your professors, the staff members, all of them, they would be going to the library website. And you can also get to the library website. On this slide tells you, right, you can just go straight to the library website by looking for step 2, library now, go to library website. You can also find um, the library option under quick links and get to the library website. So this slide tells you how you can get to the library website. This one, I'm not going to, go over too much in detail. It is our library website, right? It's going to tell you what you can do on the library website. There are a lot of services from the library. I cannot go over everything available to students, right? So if you're interested, you can make use of this slide because all of these are clickable. You can just click on any of these options and it's going to explain what that service is. For example, there is something called the Interlibrary loan system, right? So if let's say a certain book is not available at Kingsborough, you want to see if another library outside Kingsborough has your book, that's what Interlibrary loan is. So if you're interested in opening an account, that option gives you the detail of that service. There's a lot of other services as you see. So on your own, if you want to come back to the slide, it's going to explain more about our library. The next slide is a promo video on the library. Now, at this point, I don't know how many of us know about the building, what the library looks like. Maybe this is all new because you are a first year, right? And you want to see what the building is, what the building looks like from inside, where the collections are. That's what the promo video is about. It's very short, it's about 3 minutes, but it does give you a sense of our collections and where to find them once we open the building. Okay, so again, something to do on your own. And finally, our library hours for the semester, okay, for spring 2021. And as you see, right, we're open all 7 days. So let me just backtrack. When I say we're open 7 days, it doesn't mean that the building itself, the library building, is open for you to go in for these 7 days. It just means that if you contact us, contact the librarian, right? If you have a question about the library, if you want to use a certain database, you don't know how to get in, we have these hours for you to, run your questions, right? Contact me, contact the reference desk, anyone from the library for these hours, okay, you will find help. Okay, it's kind of like a library hotline, right, where you can get in touch with us for those hours. Okay, so everything is all in this very short module, just so that, once again, you are able to take away. The key part is the Cuny Login. Okay, so that is the module. Anyone with a question at this point? Everyone's okay? I don't see like a chat message so far. So, okay, I assume everyone's fine. And with that, we will go to the class page. Okay, the class page again, step 2, library now. And then you're going to go down to, you see, go to English 12, Ellis, race and identity. That's your class page. I'm going to click on it. Okay, so here it is, right? Once you get to the class page, you're going to see the header, Online English 12 Library Research Guide. Spring 2021, Professor Ellis, Introduction to Library Resources. You're going to see me, right? With my contact information again, as well as the reference desk phone number. So again, you are never far away from contacting the library or a librarian if you're using the library guide. Okay, all the information is right there on the screen. You'll see as we scroll down, right, the red box, that's your library session right now. You see section 35, right? The class that starts at 8 p.m. Now, I'm recording the session, and afterwards, after cleaning it up, I'm going to post it as a YouTube video in this red box. So those of you, let's say, you forgot, the part about the Cuny Login from the module before, and you want to watch the recording, right? Zoom in on that part, right? Come back and look for it later on in this red box. You're going to see the video, okay? And then let's just go over the rest of the class page. You're going to see right down here, the first section, recommended databases. So I make recommendations for the sort of databases from the library that you will use when you're doing research. Let's say Professor Ellis wants you to look for sources, right? She wants you to find some articles. She wants you to find some scholarly studies. You can make use of the databases that I have on this class page for you. Okay, as I have here, there are different tabs. So if you are looking for, let's say, background and concepts, right? I want to understand a little bit about the concept of passing, right? Let's say passing. You can make use of this database. Here's Gale Virtual Reference Library, right? I provide you with also tips for use of the database. If you are looking into, let's say, once I, get to know a certain concept, I want to further it with an issue that was discussed in class, right? Let's say it has to do with racially mixed people, right? So here is another database, opposing viewpoints in context, right? That is under for overviews on social issues. If you go to for scholarly studies, here is one database, and you go in there and you may be looking for scholarly articles, maybe one or two having to do with racially mixed people, let's say, right? If that happens to be what you want to write about for your essay, you may want to go into this database. So different tabs for different needs. These are the databases that I am recommending. You will see for each section, there is a green button. Click for video tutorial, right? You're gonna click on the green button. It opens up a YouTube video, again, very short. It's about 2 to 3 minutes, about how you can get into this database, right? I mean, a lot of times when I have library sessions, I may not be running this recording of the entire session. So students can also benefit just by, using these shorter videos. It's going to tell you, okay, what to do with, let's say, academic search complete, right? How do you enter into the database and how do you search in a database? That's what the video is about. Once you're done, you can just hide the tutorial and it brings you back to your class page. So that's the first section on databases. I recommend also books from our library catalog. You see on the screen, there are 5 books, right? And they are selected because of your theme, your discussion points in class. A lot of them would be useful for your assignments. Maybe, Again, to come back to for background and concepts, right? You may get into one of these books to look up passing as a concept, right? Or other things having to do with self-identity, right? So you may want to use a book rather than articles or items in a database. Okay, you have book recommendations. Come back down, and this is the bottom of the class page. You're going to see a search box, and it is, a search box that you input. This gets you directly into the library catalog, right? Because the library catalog holds a lot more than just the 5 books that I recommend on a class page, as well as the databases up top. There is so much more to the library catalog. And you yourself may want to use your own keywords, right? You may want to put in like what I have here, right? I make some suggestions. You could type in mixed race and identity, right? Or maybe, the color of water, the book, right? That you're reading, or language and identity, right? A lot of your own keywords. And it's going to search in the library catalog for those items about your keywords. I have finally also, you see, you may use these subject links for books and articles on one search, and these are subject links. So once again, I find you the related subjects. So, if you want to, let's say, look for anything that has to do with racially mixed people, okay, as race identity in the United States, right? You can click on the subject and it's going to take you to those items from the library catalog, right? So you can make use of these subject links, or you can type in your own keywords in the search box. Okay, the point is this class page is meant to be, let's say, like a virtual storefront from the library when you are doing research. It has a lot of the basic resources that students would go into to look for, your information right here on this page. Okay. Does anyone have any question at this point? Anything about, um, you know, what's not available on the class page, what would you would want to see, but maybe you're not seeing? Everyone is okay?
Hey, Wendy.
Oh, yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say, and maybe you're going to get to it more, but at some point, if you could also maybe just speak a little bit more on, keywords and search terms, because I find students always end up struggling with.
In fact, we are going into this very first database that definitely helps as far as key terms. Okay. I'm gonna let's make use of one of the databases, the first one for background and concepts. Okay. Again, this database, you see the title here, Gale Virtual Reference Library. Under it, there is something called Topic Finder, right? And the Topic Finder is a great little tool if you're looking for, let's say you have your own keyword and you want to find out what other possible or better search terms you can have, right? And you're going to add these search terms, right, to your vocabulary as you're doing more research for sources. So this is a great tool. Let's go into this database. We're going to click on the database, and immediately it's going to get to the window that you guys from the module before, that you saw it before on the laptop. There you go, web applications login, right? So it's asking me for the Cuny login. So very important again for us to make use of anything from the library at this point, because we are not in the building, right? We have to use everything electronically, and that requires you to know your Cuny login. I'm going to use my own. And if everything is okay, I'm going to just click on the login button. Notice that there are links below, right? Forgot password, forgot username, manage your account. So the links are here if you have any question about it. If you still don't know after all these links, contact the IT help desk, the student help desk. The contact information is again from the module, right, on that slide. So everything should be fine. And with that, we are in the database. It's going to load up the homepage for this database, and it's the Gale Virtual Reference Library, right? And as you see, anytime that you get into a database, you're going to come to either a search box or a few search boxes together, right? Because this is where you're going to enter your keyword. What are you looking for, right? You can type in your keywords immediately in that search box. But I suggest for this database, because it's for background and concept, there is a tool. And the way to get to the tool is, you see advanced search, the link. I'm going to click on that. It takes me to a secondary interface, and here is a few more boxes, right, for advanced search. But you notice, right, on this page, next to advanced search, there is the subject guide search, and then topic finder. Topic finder, okay? I'm going to click on that. So I say that this is a great tool for students, because when you're starting research, you just have an idea of your topic. Okay, it's from your own vocabulary, your own natural language, right? It could be, you know, something that you discuss in class. I'm going to take an example, passing. Okay, so after that, notice right under the search box, you have visualization, tiles versus wheel. Okay, tiles is what you get on the screen right now. I tend to like wheel because of the way, you know, the colors are laid out as like a pie, a colored pie. It has to do with, let's say, racial identity, right? Within racial identity, you have all these finer, you see, right? Finer pieces of the pie, right? And it's up to you to select, right? I would, let's say, race awareness. I'm going to click on that. And then this is where, right, you're going to see on the right side your results. And the results here, right? So at this point, you can select any of them, right? It will take you to, let's get to that page, racial passing. It would take you to a special encyclopedia covering that concept of racial passing, right? It will, you know, you may want to, you know, get more definition at this point, right? Usually an entry from the encyclopedia, it's not going to be that long, but it's a very good starting point, because from this entry, you notice some of the additional subject terms that you now acquire, right, for your, let's say, research. Maybe look for a few other sources of a certain subject. You may want to add something like Black consciousness, these are all clickable, by the way, right? And if I go back up, you also have related subject links. Okay, so the concept of racial passing at this point, right? I mean, I'm not even reading through this coverage on the page, but it's intimately tied to other concepts like racial attitudes, race awareness, right? You may click into any of these, right, to maybe find information, right? Get at this point a couple of items from this encyclopedia, right? Mention them in your essay and maybe add these as additional search terms when you're looking for, I don't know, scholarly articles later on, passing and race awareness, right? So that's how you build your vocabulary, right? This tool I find to be, pretty useful, because certainly when you first put in passing, some of the terms may not be, within your reach. You wouldn't be thinking about them. But in getting to this point in the encyclopedia, it opens you up to some of the other terms that you can also use, possibly for your research in, your other databases. So is that, does anyone have a question about it? Like any part of how to make use of this tool? It's really, let's come back to topic finder, right? I mean, again, to bring us back to the visualization, right? When you first get here, the assumption is, you're going to be looking at it in a tiles format. I mean, some of us may be like, oh, I like the tiles way of laying out things. My personal favorite is the wheel, because you really see where things are, right? Which is the larger piece of the pie and the segments within that piece, right? In a wheel format, right? You see what I'm talking about, right? So, and you can try your other keywords too. I mean, it doesn't have to be passing. It could be something else. I have here on the class page, right? You can type in something like gender identity, right? Or racial identity, and see, how this pie is going to shape itself and what kind of entries you get, the lead-in points in the different special encyclopedias, which will bring you to those related subject links. So a very good tool to kind of build your search terms. Everyone okay with a question about it? So this is what we just entered. Okay, I'm just gonna now get to maybe let's get to scholarly studies. I was about to go into, overviews on social issues, but scholarly studies really would help you with, let's get into academic search complete, right? Here is the interface for academic search complete. Notice I didn't have to input the Cuny login, right? Because I'm still sitting in front of my computer. And once I input the username and password, it is good for the entire time that I'm doing this research. That information would be lost once I shut down my PC and I enter in, let's say, tomorrow. Okay, so it's only a first time that's needed for this Cuny prompt. So here is academic search complete. And you see again, right, just like before, a bunch of search boxes. The assumption is at this point, you know what you're searching, right? You're gonna type in your search terms. So let's say passing, right? And what is your passing could mean a lot. What is your, let's say your topic, right? Passing with regard to maybe a certain group of people, right? Racially mixed people, right? Or maybe passing in race awareness, let's say. You see, I just learned this other concept, right? Race awareness. Let me put that in. Or maybe passing, it could mean maybe the time period. You want to study passing in the early 20th century, right? I want to see what it was like back then. So it's all types of different topics that you may have when you're searching. I want to use race awareness, right? And just to see, right? I'm going to click on search now. And now from this database, I see the results here. There are about 11 items. Okay. I want students to look to the left, right? The left panel, because you do have to do a few things before you get into any of your results. The first thing is, if you see full text on the screen, turn it on, because of your results, there are going to be some, for example, the second one that I'm looking at that has something like this button, find it at Cuny. Usually when you see that, it means that you're going to have, at least you have to take a few more steps as far as getting access to this article on passing. Okay, because it's not immediately available in Academic Search Complete. And you're gonna need to search for it elsewhere from your CUNY resources. So, to get rid of all those results that may not immediately guarantee you full context, right? I'm gonna just click on full text right now. And after I do that, you'll see that article. Right now, the numbers come down to 9. And you notice, right, the article before, it's not on this list anymore. And everything now has either the PDF or HTML full text. So everything that you click on now, it's available to you. Okay, so let's say I'm looking up. The other thing I want to bring your attention to, after the full text, Academic Search Complete, okay, has a lot of scholarly journal articles. Has a lot, right? But it does have some number of magazines, right? And if you need to look for a scholarly article, you want to make sure that it is from a scholarly journal, right? That is the filter to use. You could, click on, you see scholarly peer-reviewed journals, right? I think from the 9, it may come down somewhat, or maybe not, because at this point it's pretty clean. It's like those 9 items. Okay, so 7 on passing and race awareness. Okay. So now all the articles are from scholarly journals. Colored existence, racial identity formation in light-skinned Blacks. Okay, let's say, I want to get access, right? I'm going to click on the title. It brings me to the record of this article. Okay, and you notice there are also subject terms. You see, right? Race awareness, but a lot of other terms too, right? So it comes back to how do you build your vocabulary for research? At a starting point, you may not have a lot of these search terms. You begin with what you know, right? And I use the example of passing because, hey, that was discussed in class. That's what Professor Ellis mentioned. You know, we had a discussion on passing because we were reading this or that article or chapter. Okay, I want to use that term. But after using the term, right, from the Gale Virtual Reference Library, I added a few more concepts, and now I found this article, right? And with each attempt at finding a source, I build on additional search terms, right? Race relations, race discriminations. So you may use some of these terms as you're looking for maybe better articles. If you find, hey, this is a good article, but it doesn't have exactly what we discuss in class. We may be discussing a certain book, right? The Color of Water, maybe something else, right? I want to add in the color of water, right, into one of these search boxes. And now say race awareness, or maybe some of the other terms here. That's how you find these additional search terms. You build with each attempt at finding your articles. So to come back to this record, right? Here's the record, and on the left side is the link, the PDF full text link, right? I'm going to click on it, and that is the article pages, right? And I can do a lot of things on the screen, right? I can read immediately, right? Let's say I'm looking for one source for this essay, and I'm going to read through the abstract, right? And decide, hey, do I want to talk about this? Add that into the concept of passing and race awareness, right? And that would be 3 different sources at this point that I'm going to cite, right, for my essay. I can do that, right? I could, as I'm looking at this article, right, there are a lot of things that I can do. Let's say I don't want to read this on the screen like this. I'm going to download, you see, download as a PDF, and I'm going to read it after I get off this database. Maybe I can read it on my phone, right? You could do that. You could download, you can print. Additionally, because you are in a library database, and with Academic Search Complete, it's pretty student friendly. The tools are right there. You'll see on the right side, right, there is the, you see this icon? It says Cite. I'm going to click on it. And now you're going to see the different citation styles, right? I'm going to scroll down until I get to MLA, you see, right? And you see this citation. That's the citation to this article I'm looking at. And I might as well just copy it and paste it into, if I have a word processing doc on the side, I might as well just, save this citation. I may be using it later. It may very well be the source that I want to cite for Professor Ellis, right? So I can do that. I can, if I don't have the word processing doc on the side, I can export, you see, export the citation, right, to, I don't know, your Google account. So you're going to make sure, right, you can also email, a lot of things that you can do to preserve this citation, okay? If you're doing research, like, the way I would do research is I'm going to look at the abstract. As I'm looking at the abstract, I find that this is a pretty interesting article, right? I'm going to save the citation, email it to myself, get the PDF, download it, and then maybe go back to the results list. Look for, if the professor wants a couple of sources, I'm going to make sure I have 3 or 4, right? Just so that I could choose from them as I'm reading through and seeing how they relate to what I'm writing about for her, right? So at this point, with these key terms, right, I have about 7 as a first attempt, right? And searching this database, I got, like that one article I may want to change, right? And I'm just looking at immediately, this first item. And this time I'm going to change to maybe women's role, right? Passing, right? This is how you're going to be doing your search in a database. The first time, gather, what you can. If you don't see anything related, right? Change your keywords, right? Add in, the new terms from the vocabulary that you are fast building up, right? As you're, that's how you're going to be getting to the sources for your assignment. Okay, so to come back, again, so far we've been talking about the databases, right? The Gale Virtual Reference Library and Academic Search Complete for Scholarly Studies. I skipped over this one for overviews on social issues, right? Because if let's say for this time around, Professor Ellis is not very specific in the type of sources. If she didn't say anything about scholarly materials, right? And you're okay with, let's say, maybe your newspapers and magazines and a bunch of other, categories, information categories, you can very well use opposing viewpoints. And, check out issues like what I have here, browse issues such as, right? Use any of them, type in your own and see, from the gamut of information categories, the kind of sources. But the way you enter a database, right? And the keywords, you're going to have to use your keywords to search within the database. It's going to be the same, doesn't matter which one you use. You're going to have to enter some kind of keyword for you to get your results. Everyone okay so far? Any questions about the database?
You guys all still out there?
Everything makes sense. Only question I probably have is just basically how to get back to the recording.
The recording?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry about the recording because we are recording this, and everything that I'm talking about right now, it's going to be in the recording, and the recording is going to show up on the class page in the red box later. Okay.
Got it. Everything else is pretty well explained.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good while we have it, but I know that chances are you may not have the questions right now. It's when you actually start research, then you come upon the individual situations, right? Exactly. That you're going to be like, oh, okay, I would like to know. And that's why, you have the recording. Come to the recording then. So it's going to be posted on the class page there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it's good for not only just the English class, I can use it for the other classes that I'm in now as well.
Oh, okay, great. That's great. Okay, so far I explained the databases. I want to show you the other situation, the prominent situation of what the library catalog, the library catalog would show you. Okay, the library catalog, I want to make use of some of the books that I recommend here, right? As you see, they are all on identity, right? The self and social judgment, recognizing race and ethnicity, after identity, rethinking race, sex, and gender, right? You can click on any of these, right? Let's say I'm gonna click on this last one, right? You can click on the book cover or the title, it's fine. There's also like you know, again, a paragraph summary of the book so that you know, like, you know, if it's something that you want to read. You're gonna click on. And immediately you see the loading, right? It's gonna take again a few seconds as it loads up the library catalog, that book record. And you're gonna come upon the library catalog, this screen, when you are searching, anytime when you're, you know, using the catalog. So here is the book record, mixing it up, right? And it's still loading up at the page. So we're gonna wait. Okay, there we go. And here's the book cover. And you know that this is the library catalog because you see the search box is right there with the banner, right? And just like your database, the library catalog is no different from those databases in the section that we just talked about, right? You're still dealing with either a search box or a whole bunch of search boxes, because eventually, if that item is not what you want to, you know, do a second search. Now add in a new search term and see if you find different items, right? So here is the book, okay? And you see right under the title, available online. Whenever you see that, it tells you as you're sitting at home, right? When you're doing research, that item available online, you're going to have instant access to this item. It is electronic. You need to have the Cuny Login prompt. That's how you recognize. You're going to see a lot of items, right? That would have something like available at Cuny Library, available at Cuny Library reserves, stacks, reference, right? If it says any of those, you have to be in the building, right? You have to be on campus. You go into the building and you look for it on the shelf. Okay, I've selected for items, those 5 books, they are all available online. So you don't have to run around. You just click. You click, it brings you down to, you see, view online, right? There are 2 collections, 2 digital collections that have access to that book. Okay, it doesn't matter which collection you're gonna click on because they both have access, right? You're gonna click, let's say, the first one. And it shouldn't prompt you for the Cuny login because you did it already, right? It still retains your username and password. And now here is the whole book on the screen. Okay, let's scroll down so that you see what the ebook is. The table of contents, it has all the chapters as links, right? So let's say you have chapter 1, American Mixed Race. It has a lot of demographic data, right? I want to come down, right? Section 2, multiracial subjects. Right, the different chapters in that section, right? And if I am interested, I just click. And it takes me directly to that chapter. So, you know, just like before in the database, when I found the article is in PDF, right? I have the PDF on the screen at this point. And at this point, you know, I may want to just get rid of the side panel and start reading. I can do that, right? I could customize to make it any size I want on the screen, right? Let's say I don't want to read it like this. I want to read it offline. I want to download, you see, chapter download. I want to download this chapter, right? I can do that. Download the PDF. There is this first one. It says full download, which I don't recommend. Students are not going to have to, at least, of course, your professor does not discourage you from, reading the whole book. But let's say for the essays and assignments that you're doing, it's not necessary for you to do a full download. Okay. I always, have students look for the second option, the one that says chapter, right? You can download as a chapter instead. Okay, so to bring us back to the library record, here is the book again, right? It's also on the library record. You see once again, right? Related subject links. I provided a few of these actually on my class page, right? And if you're interested, they are clickable. And it's going to take you to, let's say, all the other items in the library catalog having to do with that subject. Okay, before I do it, I want to bring us up to some of the other things that students need to pay attention to. You see that right under the title, you have this menu bar, once again, a menu bar of tools, right? Students, there is one for citation right here on the record in the library catalog. You're going to click on this citation button. It creates the citation for the book. Okay, I always, here is you can either, copy the citation like this, right? Or you could just highlight as I'm used to. Always, give the citation just, a check. Okay, just double check to make sure everything's in the right order, because everything is all computer generated, and I mean, chances are a lot of the data is correctly put, but it's not 100% accurate, that's for sure. So it doesn't hurt to kind of be mindful of like all the components of your citation to make sure that, oh, okay, that's exactly what the title is, and you have the authors in the right places. Okay, so always give it a double check, before you immediately copy and paste. So right on the library record, there is the tool for citation. So I come down again, and with all these subject links, I may want to use some of these subject links, right? Let's say I click on race identity in the United States. And you see, it's bringing me to, for that subject link, all those items. I'm going to ask the question, if I can do my search in a database, why would I want to do it in the library catalog now? Right? I mean, what's the difference between using the library catalog and, let's say, Academic Search Complete? Does anyone have an answer, perhaps? I have here results 40, right? Anyone? I hope that people are still here.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay, the question is, why would I want to use the library catalog? Because on the class page, I have already the databases, right? And let's say I can, go into something like Academic Search Complete to find my sources. What is the difference between Academic Search Complete and the library catalog? Oh, and the library catalog here. What's the difference? What do you think?
Probably more of a selection.
Okay, let's expand on that. What do you mean by more of a selection? More of a selection from
the books that we're looking for as opposed of, I guess like a page or something.
Well, okay, I was hoping that, you know, you would look immediately at, you know, some of the items on this page. You see that these are books, right? And if we go to Academic Search Complete, are we going to be seeing books? We may not be seeing books, right? We may not be. Remember the search that we did? We were aiming for scholarly journal articles, right?
Right.
So the library catalog is, well, for your situation, your research, right? If you're looking for a couple of sources, right? If your professor wants you to find a couple of sources and she says, look for them, like look for scholarly journal articles, then I know to go into something like Academic Search Complete. But you may have a very lengthy research project as you get into, let's say, you know, your other classes, right? You have a major research project for the whole semester. You have to, you know, do research, find your sources for this one project. Okay, it is very research heavy, and it's going to take a lot more than, you know, your couple of sources to complete an essay. It's going to mean at least 5 to 10 sources, maybe more. So in that situation, you really need to know how much is available from the Kingsborough Library, not just from one database, right? The library catalog has access to all the collection, the digital collections with all these books, right? That you cannot search in any single database. You will also have, let me just, you know, bring your attention to, you see on the left side, right? Resource type, I'm going to open it up, right? Okay, for this search, it just shows books and book chapters, but the library catalog also has access to journal articles from a lot more than just one database. It has a lot of databases. Okay, so when it's running a search on a certain term, it's checking out all the databases at once for your search term. So you may have books, you may have articles from newspapers, you may have articles from journals. It's everything together. So the number usually is a lot larger than, you know, when you're just using one database. Okay, so to come back to why would you use the library catalog versus the database? It really depends on your research project, right? If you have a small research project, if you're just looking for a couple of sources, right, you use a database. If you are doing a major research project and you need a lot of sources, right, use the library catalog, because you never know the kind of items in databases that do not show up on, let's say, the recommended database list. I mean, the librarian would always recommend a few databases, but let's be honest, at this point, the library catalog has access to 200 databases. I mean, how do you feel if I provide you with more than 10 databases on one class page? People would be confused. I mean, why do you need to know so many databases? You don't, right? That's where, when you have a lot of research to do, use the library catalog, because it will look into databases, right, that are just not on the class page, and it will find you items in those databases that you've not thought of before. So very, very nice. I always add this part about the library catalog on the bottom, okay, so that you know you can run this as an option, it is by no means mandatory, right? I mean, for a lot of your assignments, for, you know, if you're writing an essay, a few pages, right? Using a database is perfect, right? You may end up using a book and maybe an article in a database, and that would be perfectly fine. Okay, but again, as you finish this semester, and you know, many of you head into your majors where you're going to have, you know, the lengthier assignments, right? You will be using the library catalog for that type of research, right? And that is where you know, knowing how to use the library catalog, right, to select your books and your articles, you will definitely recognize the banner for the library catalog. So a lot on this class page. Okay, and you know, this is only an introduction for students. Any questions? I'm looking at the time, and usually my library sessions have, you know, the feeling of information overload at the end of the session, because it's kind of like, you know, a run through of all the you know, the systems, and I rely on, let's say, your attention to be able to like remember all the different systems. But now that we are doing it on Zoom, at least there's the recording, right? And hopefully, you know, you're going to make use of maybe the shorter video clips to bring you back to like exactly what you can do in the different sections.
I'm sorry, I just have a quick question. Apart from the recording,
Yeah,
right, would we be able to like find the links anywhere else, like in the course content or somewhere else?
The links to well, the library guide itself, you know, I gave you the address is.gd / library online. That
Right.
address, right?
Mhm.
You just have to type it, you know, and then I'm going to provide that to Professor Ellis so that
Okay.
she could forward to, you know, everyone.
Mhm.
And, you know, at this point, I don't know, do you use Blackboard? Because
Yeah.
usually they, you know, you could also have, you know, that address be shared on as an announcement on Blackboard. So, I mean, that's how you would come back to the class page and
Okay.
make use of the links.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then, you know, as far as like, if you have any additional questions about, I forgot the address, or, you know, I don't know which database, you have like, you know, 4 databases, I don't know which one, you know, as long as you have my contact information, right, send me an email. I'll give you the address again. I'll remind you, or maybe I'll check one of the databases to see what sort of sources for your topic.
Okay.
So
I
that
got
this is where I could, you know, help as a librarian. Okay,
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
you're welcome. So